Celtics fall to the Cavs 97-91. This is the Garter Report on Celticsblog and CLNS Radio. Garter Report. My name is Jared Weiss. With me, as always, Evans Clinchy and Jimmy Toscano, and a new member of the crew tonight, the co-owner of CLNS Radio, my site, Nick Gelso. Thanks for coming onto the show, buddy.
Pleasure to be here, my man.
Here with you. Your hands are pretty sweaty.
They are. Well, I'm a little nervous.
We're going to talk about the
Sitting
game.
next to Jimmy. How could I not
wipe this off on your sweater here? So we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about what Doc and Jet said after the game about facing the Heat. We finally got them to say something. So we'll hear from them. We'll go around the league. We talked to Kyrie Irving after the game, or before the game actually, and we'll actually take a look at the rebounding numbers, just like we did last time. So we'll start on that. Nick, you were sitting in the stands for this one, so you're right up behind the rim there. You got to see a lot of the rebounding action. I mean, what's the issue with the Celtics rebounding? And I mean, Tristan Thompson obviously is the issue.
Yeah, Tristan Thompson. But on top of that, Jared, box out. They don't box out. Mm-hmm. I mean, they reach. The only guy that really boxed out tonight was Shavlik Randolph. Everybody else kind of reaches. They don't shuffle for a position. They're not aggressive on the boards, and it's been the story all season long. Same story. We could repeat the same show over and over.
Good. This is actually a clip from 2 weeks ago.
It is. We're fooling you. Yeah, and that's the truth. They need to box out more. They were dominated on the boards. And again, if Doc is going to preach pace, fast pace, what's the most important thing? Rebounding, outlet passing. Tonight, out-rebounded 58-42. That's the story.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I mean, they weren't getting the or they were giving up too many offensive rebounds, so they weren't getting into transition enough. And
right.
They talked about that after the game. Cleveland 15-8 on fast break points. I mean, that was a 7-point difference, and they won by 6 points. So, I mean, was the transition game the big issue for them offensively?
A little bit, and it's kind of interesting when you look at the numbers. I mean, the Cavs didn't shoot great. I mean, they shot 40% for the night, even lower than that in the second half. So you'd think with all those misses, you'd be breaking out off those misses and getting out. But like you said, they're not a great rebounding team. I mean, the Cavs get in there for some offensive boards, for some second chance points. The game was too slow, I think, for the Celtics at some points in the game. And the other thing that we didn't touch upon is, you know, without Pierce and Garnett, they really needed guys like Green and Bradley to step up and push the pace. Well, those guys were in foul trouble all game, so they really couldn't be as aggressive as they wanted to be for a lot of the game, especially in the first half when those guys picked up 2 early fouls.
Yeah, I mean, you really touched on something talking about transition because both teams shot poorly. They're both identical, 36 for 89, 40%. So there's a lot of missed shots, a lot of opportunities for rebounds. And the Celtics got some boards, and they just kind of like stood around and then moved the ball to the floor slowly, and then Jason Terry would chuck a 3 and miss. The Cavs would get rebounds, and they would get in transition, they would run, and they would get buckets in transition. The Celtics just weren't having any kind of activity to get to the rim. They were just kind of marching up the floor nice and slow and then chucking a jumper. It's you know, they look like an old, slow team right now because they kind of are one. And that's what happens when you're an old, slow team against a young, fast team like Cleveland. You're going to get smoked in terms of transition scoring.
And one big surprise was that Kyrie Irving did not have a very good offensive game.
He had a bad offensive
game. Yeah, let's hear what Doc had to say about that after the game.
You think you're going to win a game when Kyrie goes 4 for 20. He did make 2 big ones, I think, down the stretch because that's what he is.
Evans, Kyrie goes 4 for 20, and Doc said you're supposed to win when that happens.
Yeah, you are. It's true. And you know, last time they saw Kyrie Irving was back in January, and Rondo was guarding him, and he went off for 40, and they didn't beat him then either. You know, this game, you got Avery Bradley on Kyrie Irving, and Bradley did a great job. I think Irving made 2 threes. One was in transition, and one was off an inbound play. Bradley wasn't guarding him either time on either one of those shots. Basically, there were 0 times where Kyrie scored on Avery Bradley. So it's really impressive defense, but yeah, just the rest of the team didn't really do enough defensively to stop the Cavs as a team. You know, you can't just stop one guy and win the game. It's got to be a team effort.
Yeah, the thing about Irving, and like you said, I mean, Bradley did a really good job on him for most of the night, but when Bradley went out at the game in the 4th quarter with that injury, which was the bruised collarbone, he comes back, and right as he comes back, there's Kyrie Irving on the court, hits that like small little fadeaway jumper to put the Cavs up, I think put them up by 8 or something like that, just enough to really like end the game and end the Celtics threat. So, I mean, that goes to show the type of player that Irving is. Like when he has an opening, when he sees the chance, you know, for him to make a difference, you know, he made the difference. And after a terrible shooting night, for him to come through like that, you know, speaks volumes about him.
So, Gelso, let's do boxing out. What's your stat of the night?
Tristan Thompson, 17 rebounds, Jared, on a night where Cleveland completely devastated Boston on the boards. Another team beats up on Boston, 17 rebounds. That's my stat of the night. He beat up on Jeff Green and Brandon Bass together. He out-rebounded 2 of our frontline players and made a fool out of our team again on the boards. So that's my stat of the night.
That's a damn good stat.
I know, Jimmy.
Proud of you for
Jimmy. I know.
My stat is
Thank
a
you.
little more, just as much depressing, I would say. The Celtics shot 32.6% tonight in the second half. They had a really good first quarter shooting. I don't have that number off the top. Shame on me. But I think it was in the 60% in the first quarter. And then after that, it was just slowly downhill. I mean, they only scored 39 points in the second half. So despite playing decent defense in the Cavs in the second half, they didn't play any better offense. So that's why they lost.
13 for 21, 62%
I knew
first
it
quarter
was
shooting.
60 plus.
That's pretty good. Evans, number. Hit me.
I think I already mentioned this, but 36 of 89. The fact that both teams shot identical, I think that's a really cool stat. You don't see it very often.
Yeah.
But, when 2 teams shoot identical, it's going to come down to rebounds and second chance points, and, of course, Cleveland had a lot more of those, so that was the difference in the game.
I mean,
Or three-pointers
Also that.
in free throws.
yeah, I mean, I thought that was the coolest number of the night, as long as we got it out there. But for
What does
me,
it mean?
For me, the fast break points, 15 for the Cavs, only 8 for the Celtics. And you look at the efficiency, Celtics go 3 for 6 on fast break, Cleveland 7 for 9, so there wasn't a drastic difference as far as how efficient they were. But the big difference was the opportunities, was that the offensive rebounding for Cleveland, it just prevented the Celtics from getting into transition. The Celtics are really predicated on, especially without Rondo, as we were saying a lot in February when they were kind of fresh without Rondo and were really fast breaking. They need to be able to get defensive rebounds and start transition off of defensive rebounds because their half-court offense it's a little bit in trouble right now. And you've got Jordan Crawford going 3 for 14 or 6 for 9, as Doc Rivers would say. But I mean, they want to be in transition as much as possible to cover up a lot of the issues that they have with Crawford trying to run point. So they're going to definitely need to get better with defensive rebounding. As I said, I never talk too long. I'm known
Of course not.
Right.
That's not why we're making faces at each other.
So
at
let's
all.
shut me up, Nick. Who's your baller of the night?
Tristan Thompson.
Who?
Who? 29 points, 17 rebounds.
Both career highs, by the way.
Yeah, 10 of 17 from the field, again, for all the reasons you just mentioned, rebounding, et cetera, et cetera. Thompson's my player of the night.
Okay, any disagreements from Thompson?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to be different because I like to be different. I'm
already
going to
are.
say I thought what the Celtics got out of Shavlik Randolph tonight in the amount of time that he played before he fouled out, which I thought was a travesty. He fouled out in this game.
Should play smarter.
I thought the Celtics got a lot out of him tonight, and they're going to, believe it or not, they're going to need stuff out of him down the stretch and into the postseason. We didn't know who this guy was.
Yeah, 3 months ago,
Never
a month
knew
ago.
who this guy was until like you said, a month or two ago, whatever it was. And now, they actually need him to do stuff for them.
But Jimmy, also too,
in the
he's
postseason.
adding energy off the
Oh,
bench,
yeah.
and he's adding energy to the Garden.
Right.
The
No, I
Garden
mean,
gets excited when he's in the game.
He's doing what Doc wants, Chris Wilcox to do, which is
Right.
Be a
said as
presence
much,
down
yeah.
low, box out, simple things like that. And
He's the only guy boxing out.
they got, honestly, what they got 16 points out of him tonight, which that might be a career high for Randolph, but
It is.
it is. It's a career high for him, and they didn't expect any points from him. They just want him to go in there and be a force and be a presence and
energy.
grab rebounds. So,
Yeah.
I mean, anything you get out of him in the points department is a bonus. So he's my silver lining player of the game.
But just you were saying that he's a crowd favorite. The crowd loves 3 things. They love dunks, they love threes, and they love offensive rebounds.
Yep.
And he gives them one of those.
What about
things.
white people? They
I
love
was
those
going
They
there,
do love white
Scout.
people.
was-
Somebody had to say it, right?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
be honest.
I thought you were going to say that. But.
Yeah, one of the 3 things had to be. Okay,
I was
whatever.
thinking it, but I didn't say it.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so Thompson for
They love-
you? Any
love offense.
fight on that one?
Screw it. I'll go Avery Bradley. I know he's been a terrible offensive player, but the fact that he held Kyrie Irving to 4 of 20 shooting, 4 of 20,
Yeah.
he's Kyrie Irving. And, Irving's
Yeah.
a force in the fourth quarter every single game, and he scored, I think 2 in the fourth quarter tonight. I mean, Avery was excellent against him, so
And
I'll give him a defensive nod for player of the game.
Yeah.
All right,
And that's
let's-
why you take the bad shots, because he, creates so many bad shots on the other way.
Yeah, if you could meld the offensive Jason Terry with the defensive Avery Bradley, you'd have the best guard in NBA history.
Yeah.
But you can't, so here we are talking about the defense.
You would have
whatever.
Jeff Green.
Yeah, it's,
There you go. Great
That-
segue.
Why isn't somebody investing in these hypothetical NBA clone experiments that everybody always talks about?
I don't know.
They
You gotta
might
get the aliens from Space Jam. I'm sure they have technology they can lend us. That
The Monstars are light years ahead of us in player development.
What did I get myself into here with you guys?
yeah,
I'll
good
tell you
question.
what.
All right, well,
Moving on if we even can.
let's go
anymore.
around the league. Let's kind of step back, and we're going to take a look at the playoff standings because we haven't really done that too much so far. The Celtics have always been kind of saying they're not looking at seeding. Doc Rivers says he never looks at the standings, all that kind of stuff. Well, apparently he knows what the standings are because he was asked about it after the game. And let's see what he said. And then we talked to Jason Terry. Let's see what Jason Terry said.
I know we're in the 7th spot. I know we want to stay out of the 8th spot.
So there is a concern about, avoiding, you would like to avoid Miami.
Yeah, of course we would. I mean, but if we play them, we'll be ready.
Well, he intimated that you guys would not want to face Miami in the first round. I know you've been vocal about your distaste for Miami so far this year.
Yeah, I don't care when we play them. We could play them in the summer league, rec league. It don't matter. That's just a special rivalry for me, and should be for everybody else in this locker room. So. At one point or another, if we do what we're supposed to do, we will play them.
So Evans, they're not adverse to playing the Heat, but they finally admit what everybody's been saying for a while now. They obviously don't want to see the Heat, but there's not really a great option as opposed to facing the Heat.
I think this team's been confident all year that they're better than the 8th seed in the East. They're not afraid of the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're up 2 games on them, 2.5, I think, 2 in the loss column. I mean, they're not really in danger of losing that 7th spot. Milwaukee's got a tough schedule. They got to finish the season with, I think, Denver and OKC. I mean, they think they're going to finish 7th. They think they're probably going to play the Knicks or the Pacers, and they're right. Like, it's probably going to be Indiana or New York, and they're preparing for that eventuality, and that's where they are.
Who do you want them to play?
Who do I want them to play? I mean, I'm not a basketball fan. I'm just a writer. It
But,
doesn't matter to
all right,
me.
no, but
what's the
Who
best
do they have the
opportunity
best-
for
yeah,
them
like-
to
Oh,
win?
that question,
Yeah.
the Pacers. I mean, the Pacers are without
you
Danny
are
Granger.
a fan. Don't act like you're not a fan.
What?
You're
No,
a basketball
don't
fan.
give me that. No,
You're not a basketball fan? I'm a basketball fan. Are you
I'm a
guys?
basketball fan. I'm not a Celtics homer like some people. I'm
Well,
just.
but if you were, then.
I understand your question. Yeah, I don't think they want to play the Knicks right now. I mean, even without Amari, the Knicks are in such a flow. They're just moving the ball well, and they're scoring in such a free-flowing style. Their offense has been great. The Pacers, they've been banged up all season. They're kind of not in the same rhythm. They don't have the same momentum. I think you can beat Indiana in the first round. The Knicks, that'd be tough.
Okay, I agree with you where I don't think that they're going to play the Heat, and I don't want them to play wouldn't want them to play the Heat. But I don't think that the Pacers are a better matchup for them than the Knicks. I think that if they're going to get out of the first round, their best chances against the Knicks, because last I checked, Carmelo Anthony, great player, but when it comes to the postseason, not the greatest player. J.R. Smith, great 6th man, a little bit of a loose cannon. You don't really know what you're going to get. I mean, he's great 6th man. I mean, he could be the 6th man of the year, and he's a guy that they definitely have to. He's a matchup problem for their guards. But I think that when it comes down to it, the Pacers, if you do beat the Pacers, they're just going to beat the crap out of you because they're a very physical team. They are playing well. They just won 4 games in a row. They won their entire road trip. So they are going to be going into the postseason with some momentum. And I just think that if you can get by playing the Knicks, a team that doesn't really play that great defense, and maybe it's not as intense as it would be on both sides of the court, maybe you go into the second round, less banged up than you would against the Pacers.
I'd have to agree with Jimmy and sorry, Evans.
No,
but
that's fine. You
I
can do whatever you want.
am a
Sorry to hear
basketball
that, too.
fan too, and I just would love to see
What do you mean I'm not a basketball fan?
New York, Boston. I think it would be. We know we've seen them play in the past. It's always great
that's
games.
true.
Paul Pierce plays great at MSG.
Yeah.
He does.
It would be completely hyped up by the media. It would be a fun matchup. If you're gonna go for the best, we don't want to play Miami in the first round, but let's go. I would like to see them play New York, and I think that they would have a good chance against the Knicks. I don't like the size of Indiana and the physicality.
Here's a good question. Can you rank the big men that KG Leitz wants to see in the first round? I mean, between Hibbert, Tyson Chandler, Brooke Lopez, Joakim Noah,
Right.
like, who's the scariest out of those 4?
Right.
They're all
You'd rather
They're
see
all
Chris
pretty
Bosh.
scary.
You'd rather see Chris Paul. Well, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That means you're playing LeBron and Wade
I
too,
know.
So, let's not go there.
No, but you're right
That's a
about
good
that.
question.
That's a good
I mean,
point.
they're beastly, every last one of them. So
Yeah.
there's going to be no easy matchups for KG or for this team. I mean, that's
Right.
it's gonna be
Could
tough
that
no matter
play
what.
into why they have decided to rest KG as long as they have? On top of the injury, would it be more rest along with the injury?
I mean,
Yeah,
the
I
playoffs
think
are
so.
always hard. You got
I
to be
think
rested no
so.
matter who
Yeah.
you're playing. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a factor.
I think for the Celtics, though, you'd want to go against maybe the most offensively challenged big man, just because.
So that would be Chandler?
Yeah,
no, that'd be
that-
Hibbert. That'd be Hibbert.
But
I mean,
maybe
this
but
season
Hibbert,
especially, he's been kind of falling
right,
off
but he,
offensively.
but lately he's been
Roy
turning
Hibbert's
it on.
been very good.
Yeah,
the last
lately he's
couple
been turning
months.
it on.
He's definitely
He had
better
a-
offensively than Tyson Chandler.
He had a slow start,
Yeah, no,
but he's been turning it on.
Hibbert's been very good the last couple
and don't
months.
forget
Yeah.
Chandler's banged up too. So if
Chandler's
you can
banged
get
up.
2 banged up big men, each who are like
and they both
45
play very
years old.
similarly, I think, Chandler and Garnett.
Yeah, defensive
But that's the
minded.
big-
I mean,
The reason why I think they'd rather face the Knicks is because, and for one, I disagree with their thing about Melo. I think this year Melo has been much better than he really ever has been.
No, he's been great.
I think having Amari out of the way has allowed him to develop into a great post player. As we've seen in the last couple matchups against the Celtics, he's an elite low post player all of a sudden. I mean, he's been unbelievable. You get him on the ISO on the weak side, and he kills people. But Chandler is hanging on by a thread too right now. He's hurt. The Knicks are kind of hanging on to their players right now, very tightly.
And they're an old team.
Yeah,
We're in 11 in a row with these players hanging on.
No, it's true. But when you get to the playoffs, I don't count 11 in a row in March and April as strongly as I would for most of the year, especially because they're facing teams like the Celtics or the Heat, where only half the guys are playing right now. The Heat hasn't played their starting lineup in like 2 weeks now.
When is Spoelstra going to get fined?
Never.
Oh, never.
He would have against the Spurs if he was gonna.
Yeah, no, the Heat can do whatever they want. The Heat can just like not show up for the game, and the other coach will get.
And they'll
fined
probably
for it.
still win.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me started. We'd have to go another 45
Oh,
minutes.
we're close
here.
to 45 minutes, I'm sure, by now. It's the longest Garden Report in a couple of weeks. We want to leave you with one last gem before we go. Jimmy Toscano was able to get Uncle Jeff just a beautiful reaction. We'll just let you see it on the tape. We'll play the question for you, too. So for Evans Clinchy and Jimmy Toscano and my boss, Nick Gelso, thanks for coming on the show.
The boss.
Guys,
Quick exciting announcement today to make. CLNS Radio has completely revamped the site, and we launched today. Brand new, beautiful layout. Some pretty,
sexy.
Yeah, it is sexually enticing for a website. I'm
It makes
surprised.
even us look good.
I'm very surprised. But go check out the new CLNSradio.com. It looks absolutely fantastic. The Garden Report always up on the top of the front page. It's a great news site. I'm really excited to get to be a part of it. And I put up a new picture on my profile, so you'll get to enjoy
All
that.
the more reason to.
So we'll
tune
see.
in.
We'll see you on Sunday when the Celtics face the Wizards. They fall tonight, 97-91 to the Cavs. Celticsblog, CLNS Radio. We're out of here.
Later.
Jeff, yesterday KG said that he thinks that you could be one of the best players ever.
He said that?
Yeah. What's your reaction to that? And
Wow.
yeah, and he said that. He said ever.
Michael Jordan Hill?
Yeah.
Be up there with him? Wow. I mean, coming from KG, man, is, a lot of respect. Somebody who I look up to. Somebody who I, try to follow his footsteps. I've watched him since day one, since I've been here. His mentality in practice, coming into games, during games, and I'm trying to take that on and put it in my game. And if he said something like that, man, it's wow. I didn't know he said that. That's pretty big. I got to continue to work. I learned from him. I learned everything from him. I asked him questions. I picked his brain within a week.